Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Uh-oh. Wait, let me make sure you can hear me. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Thank you so much for being here. Let me see who was here first. Beverly McCaskill. Thank you so much for being first. Let me see. Lakiba McGee. Thank you so much. Emma D. CK. Ingrid Soares. Lydia Washington, Hazel Jones, Rhonda Bryant, and a host of friends and others. Also, let me just say a special thank you to Hazel Jones, who time and time again has been very reliable when it comes to some updated information. Um, there's a few of you all that I have relied upon quite often because there's certain little factoids that warrant someone with some knowledge and expertise. So thank you, Hazel Jones, and um, I'll try to remember to thank people individually that although we have all contributed. Let me just say that, but Hazel Jones has been particularly helpful, and of course Lydia Washington. And I don't think there's anything I don't know about wigs, thanks to Church Nelly, and and of course legs. Where would we be without legs, right? So yeah, there's a few of you guys, and I'm sorry if I neglected to mention certain people, but you all know who you are. Antoinette Kennedy. See, they'll come to me as I go along. As you know, I'm terrible with names, but and Marshar, the very consciousness of Royal Sussex. And who else? See, I'm going to get in trouble. Mary H. Vinny Blair. Yeah, a lot of you guys, you just like very quick off the mark, and it does help a whole lot. H. Knight, thank you so much for 36 months membership, and thank you for being here tonight on Royal Sussex. Okay. Oh, you know what? All that I could have been bringing up the slides, couldn't I? I literally work on these slides to the last minute, and there was one particular zinger I just added in there last minute. I'm just like, oh, this is too rich. I couldn't pass this up. So it's not it's not exactly politically correct, but I'll take my chances. Some of y'all might get mad, but we'll see how it goes. Won't be the first time, will it? Um, See, all of that, and I still could have been bringing them slides up, and I'm just talking and talking. Well, first of all, let me just make sure I'm ready. I think I got everything I need. Right? Yeah, it looks okay. And you know what's even worse is sometimes I look at the slides and I'll be like, why did I put that up there? Wonder what I was going to say. uh, well, let me tell you that I didn't really think about it until is there I think there's a squatty from Dubai or somewhere over there who she said I'm amazed at not just that you're on every day but the level of things. I don't really think of it that way because I think I can be pretty haphazard in my approach, but I know what I'm trying to say and what I'm thinking and what my intentions were, but um yeah, I didn't really think about it, but I mean, if somebody thinks that it's seems like it's a lot to do on a daily basis. I suppose it could be. But you know what I think though is something that if you love to do it, you do it, right? And let's face it, there are moms out there. Let's talk about the moms who run a household, who has to, in some cases, work a regular job, get those kids off to school, and the dads help too. Dads help too. But I'm just saying, and that's an everyday job. Every day for yeah, there is no day off for mommy. You know what I'm saying? There is no day off. So I think of it in those terms that there's a lot of like work out there that people do that there is no off day. There really is no off day. So yeah, that I'm just using that as a way of saying that anytime I think it's like too much, I think about that kind of thing. Now, mentally, it can take a toll, which is why I always say, you know, it's nothing wrong with taking a step back from the the spaces that we occupy when necessary. Pedal has definitely taken a big step back, and but Pedal, I think, is Pedal teaching school, I think, or something like that. I'm just like, I don't know how anybody and Anita of my Duke and I, that is a lot right there. If I was teaching school and doing this every day, um, I'd be in a padded cell right now. So, um, there's a lot to consider where that's concerned, but we respect every. You know what? Let me go ahead and put these slides up. I'm literally looking at it, and I just have to push select and get them up. I keep talking right past the slides. The slides. The slides. I think I need to put that front tooth back in. The slides. Doesn't that sound weird? Let me try that with my front tooth. Let me try that with my front tooth and see what it sounds like. The hell is my front tooth? There it is. Let me try that with my front tooth and see what it sounds like. The slides. See how it's got that see how it's got that little the slides. Let me put that front tooth in and see what that sounds like. Hold on a second. Should I wrench these first? Hold on. Let me go wrench these off. The slides. The slides. Hell, I think that makes it worse. Hold on. The slides. Huh. The slides. Hold on. Let me go put the bottom teeth in. I'll be right back. Maybe it needs the bottom too. Hold on. The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plains. The rain in Spain. The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plains. See that s. It's that S sound. Oh well, never mind. The hell with it. I'm gonna leave him in and see what happens. Kind of sounds like Winston Churchill. You know, he had a little, because he had some partials. We will beat them by the land. We shall fight them by the sea. And we shall never surrender. Yeah, kind of like Winston Churchill. We shall fight them by the land. And we shall fight them by the sea. And we shall never surrender. Well, I haven't had these in a minute. Okay, you guys, I'm ready now. Now, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Royal Sussex. Royal Sussex. See, I got a little bit of a, what do you call it? I'm giving myself a complex about the letter S. All right. Royal Sussex. Royal Sussex. What if I just stop saying Royal Sussex? Royal S. That's weird. I don't think I've done that in a while, but it seems to be rather pronounced tonight. Pronounced. You know what? Let me take these back out. I'll try those on again later because they're kind of getting in the way. So Sussex squad. Oh boy, I need something there though. I think so. Meghan Markle makes subtle statement with photo of Prince Harry and their kids. One day after he lost court appeal, the Duchess of Sussex posted a family photo of Prince Harry with their children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, on Instagram on Saturday. So that, of course, is an article from the People magazine. You know, I listen to everything that my dear friend Petal says. And Petal said that there seems to be a bit of trust for the People magazine, or at least the Sussexes tend to lean upon them from time to time. And, you know, I, thinking about that, you know, yeah, I, I don't, well, I think whoever can help you make your case, whoever can put you in a positive light, even if it's kind of some timing, they need it. They need it. They need the mainstream press. Not all of them, but they need some of the mainstream press. I was going to say mainstream, but they do. So we have to tolerate that relationship, I suppose. So anyway, Meghan is showing her new family photo of Prince Harry and their children following the latest legal setback. The captionless black and white image showed Prince Harry with his back toward the camera as he walked hand in hand with Archie while Lilibet sitting on his shoulders in what appears to be the garden of the family Monteito home, where there are no leaks. The Duchess of Sussex's post comes after Prince Harry lost his appeal to reinstate. Yeah, we know all of that. Okay. The things that they're going to miss is, well, everything. He continued, I love my country. I always have done. Um, despite what some people in that country, I'm sorry, despite what some people in that country have done. Yeah. Harry said of the impact this has had on his children, I miss the UK. I miss parts of the UK. Of course, I do, before adding, I think that is really quite sad that I won't be able to show my children my homeland. I got to wonder about something, and I'm almost afraid to wonder it out loud. So maybe I keep it to myself because I don't want there to be an article based on something I said. Um, but it is about a potential visit. And it's one of those things that seem like it would make a lot of sense. But if it comes up, then I will share my feelings about that. But until then, I don't want to give the derangers any idea because the press. I'm not even saying that I'm I'm certain that um, it would come directly from me, but there are some you know derangers about, and so yeah, I'll just keep that to myself for now. But it's in line with the idea of them making a visit to the UK, but I'll just hold on to it. I'll keep it under my hat for now. What the hell am I saying? You know me, I'll probably forget. In about 10 minutes, I'll forget. So, yeah, the lush, plush, beautiful garden of the stately, palatial, opulent, picturesque Monteito, Sussex Manor. That is an amazing garden. And you know what? It is what they deserve. I'm glad to know that Megan, Harry, the children, and even Doria, whenever she visits, has that space available. I mean, really, thank goodness for that because, if they did not have this kind of space, imagine, like, for instance, Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis going across, was it Fifth Avenue over to Central Park. Whenever she wanted some air, she would go over to Central Park. If she wanted to go for a walk, she'd go over to Central Park. And how many times has that paparazzi guy, the one that took a picture of her in the jeans and I think like a long sleeve T-shirt, how many times has he snapped her photo? The op- the opportunist that he was, of course. How many times did he snap her photo? And so, at least this way, they could literally go and have a picnic. You can run and play. There's a tea house. There's all kind of amenities for them to enjoy in that amazing garden that surrounds their house. So I'm so glad for that. I'm really, really glad for that. You can have people over and still have a bit of privacy at the same time. It's an amazing place. And I'm so glad for them. I think it's what they really deserve. And I do believe that the way things came about, where they went from Tyler Perry's house and this place was waiting at half of the asking price, I believe. I think when it first went on the market, it was like, I think maybe 40 million. Then it went down to like 29 million. And I think they snapped it up for about half of that, as though it was just really waiting for them. And it's a perfect fit. It really is. It's a perfect fit. Suits their lifestyle. And here's another few images. Thank you to the squatty who made this collage. You can see, let me see. Oh, no, let me see there. All right, so that's Harry and Montecito. The one in the middle, I think that is the Frogmore. I don't recognize the one on the left side. I really don't recognize that. Oh, well. But thank goodness Harry has his family and his children. Olive Perry, thank you so much for the super sticker. And good morning to you. Thank you so much for being here. My first tartan. My first tartan. When I went to Scotland, I bought that. And I was so proud. I bought that and I purchased some Walker cookies. I still have my tartan. I do not have my Walker cookies. Matter of fact, I think that's why they named them Walker, because by the time I got to my destination, half of them were gone. Yeah, I had really enjoyed my Walker shortbreads, but I'm very proud of that. I love the people in Scotland. I really have to say that I love Scotland. Scotland was someplace I always wanted to go, and it just exceeded my expectations. Um, it was everything that I wanted it to be. When I first got there, it was so misty and covered in a shroud of fog, and you could barely see anything. And by afternoon, when when the fog, the fog let up, and it was just like sweeping the curtain away. And I'm just like, all of these beautiful Gothic buildings. Um, I think, let me see, they have the old town and the new town. And the old town, that's where I stayed at a hostel. And the new town, I think I was on Cowgate Street or something like that. And the new town, that is where they have all of those, neoclassic um, Greek revival buildings and such, which is amazing. Especially, we're so lucky now because most of these places have been cleaned of the, years of soot from coal fired furnaces and ovens and stuff. It's never looked better. It has absolutely never looked better. So, um, if there's any place I would love to go back to, it would be Scotland. Loved it. The Athens of the North. The Athens of the North. If you know, you know. Okay, so which is why I absolutely love this guy, because there's a certain sensibility from people in Scotland where they just they don't mince their words, and they can be brutally honest. Brutally honest. Not mean, not to be cruel, but they just speak their mind. And I love that. I may not always understand them. The further you get away from Edinburgh, the more difficult it is to understand, but it does not matter. All right, so let me play.
All right, you asked for a nacho hack, so we delivered. Make sure you order.
Oh my goodness, I've done that again. I have done that again. Let me see. All right. All right, better now. Oh, you know what? I'm on the wrong. Okay, I see what I did there. I was on the wrong. Oh gosh, yeah, I'm gonna cover that. I will cover that. All right, that could have been a disaster. I'm glad I caught that one. Ready? Okay, here goes.
He's no the sharpest tool in the royal tool. Look, regardless of how Harry's interviews landed, he's no the sharpest tool in the royal tool shed. But let's not forget how this started. The British press went after Meghan Markle with a vengeance. And not because she did anything scandalous, for the crime of being mixed race, American, a feminist woman married into the whitest institution in Britain. And it was heavy on the racist stuff. The crime of being mixed race.
Okay, I hope you guys did understand that. he said that Meghan Markle, when what did he just say? He said that the British press went in on her for the crime of being mixed race, American, and marrying into the whitest institution. I hope you guys understood what he was saying. So I'm going to start it from the beginning again. Give you a chance to listen closely.
Look, regardless of how Harry's interviews landed, he's no the sharpest tool in the royal tool shed, But let's not forget how this started. The British press went after Meghan Markle with a vengeance. And not because she did anything scandalous, for the crime of being mixed race, American, a feminist woman, married into the whitest institution in Britain. And it was heavy on the racist stuff. The Daily Mail ran Harry's girl had almost straight out of Compton, then talked about her mother's gang scarred home. I bet you didn't know she worked in television and then did a master's and became a social worker.
Would you guys prefer if I just play the video?
Another headline said,
I'll just take my chances. So give me a minute. Let me try to download this one, and then I'll share it with you, okay? We'll just take our chances. I mean, it should be okay. It's a TikTok. Let me see. How do I want to do that? I know. Where's the closed caption? This guy has a very thick accent. God, this is about 4 minutes long. Okay. So let me do that. I'm going to try to.
Regardless of how Harry's interviews landed, he's no the sharpest tool in the royal tool shed. But let's not forget how this started. The British press went after Meghan Markle.
Okay, so I am. Not
because she did it.
I can't understand the word he's saying. Well, there is a closed caption, so when I play it, it will have the closed caption. Okay, and you'll be able to see everything. So. Oh my God, this is kind of long. You know what? Maybe I'll just do this one tomorrow. I'll do this one tomorrow because I cannot. Yeah. I'm not really able to download it the way I want to. Yeah, that's not working. Yeah, sometimes I can just
the questions are like about a woman's period.
I can just snatch them off the thing, but then sometimes I can't. And this is one of those ones that that I can't just grab it. Oh, really? Yeah, it means that I would have to upgrade to get that. And that's too bad too, because this guy is like anyway, I'll do it for you tomorrow. I have ways of grabbing it where I won't have to go through that extra expense. So okay, so imagine me walking around Glasgow and I'm going to tell you, when I went to the train station, right? I wanted to go to Dumfries' house, so I stored my luggage at the train station. And the guy that worked at the train station at the luggage store, that's just how he spoke. I could not. I got the first 2 words, and then he lost me. And when he saw the look on my face, he just stopped and laughed, and then he tried to speak a little slower for me. But my God, that was hilarious. But yeah, okay. So let's go to the next thing. Now, someone asked me about a fundraiser. To this year's birthday celebration of I love the chicken, of Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet in support of assistance League of Los Angeles, a charitable campaign by the Sussex Community Events for the for May 4th and July 4th. Get it? From May 4th to July 4th, 2025. Oh, that's right. That's right. Lilybet what day was she born? I don't know. Why is it July 4th? I thought she was, well, anyway, I won't bother with that. But it's from May 4th to July 4th, 2025. We invite you to make a donation in honor of the Royal Children of Sussex to uplift youth in need. So there is a fundraiser, and I will give you the link. And I suppose these are the children in need, and this is an official Sussex community event. So yeah, we're back to fundraising, and of course, I'm glad to share this with you. Let me grab that link, and I will put it up there for your consideration. Let me see, Sussex community event. There we go. And okay, I want to get the direct link. Ah, that's it right there. That's the one. Oh, let me put the I want to put the right name with that, so just so you know. Yeah, Assistance League of Los Angeles. No, I'll put birthday celebration. Well, I'll just put the whole thing. It'll be a tight fit, but I'll just put the whole thing. Okay. And there you go. And I am going to pin that to the top of the chat. So to make your donations, you go to that link. There we go. Let me see here. Pin message? No, I pinned the wrong message. I missed it by a mile, I think. Okay, let me try it again. Pin message? Perfect. There you go. So that is the link. It's at the top of the chat. Let me go up there and click on it just to make sure it works. Perfection. Perfection. So, help children and young adults in need during the birthday celebration of the Royal Children of Sussex. All in service and service for all. If you would like to make a recurring donation monthly, quarterly, or annually, please visit recurring donation. Otherwise, you can put a other amount. You can do $100 all the way up to $2,500. And again, that is the link for the new fundraiser from the Sussex community events. And those are the people that usually handle our fundraisers. So, and I'll try to remember to remind you from time to time, and I will put it on the community tab. So that way, if you need to go to it later, if you can't do it now, then you could just go to the community tab later. Okay, got it? Got it. Very cool. This is going to be another successful Sussex Squad fundraiser. Remember, the goal is only $25,000. We could do that easily. Yeah, we can do that easily. You could also share that link with other people. If there's, go to the link there and then you can share it with other people. You see there, you can share it on Twitter, Facebook. You can send it in a, personal email, whatever the case may be. Okay. All right. I think we're good. Hey, Lex, thanks for joining us. Yeah, once again, it's for Archie and Lily's birthday. Archie and Lily's birthday. We're going from May the 4th until July the 4th. Wasn't that right? May the 4th to July the 4th? Oh, they're going to have a little celebration on Twitter, I think. Host and time. Okay. And that'll be May the 6th. What day is May the 6th? Oh, that's tomorrow. Oh, speaking of tomorrow, the Met Gala. The Met Gala. Don't forget the Met Gala is coming up. The Lady Sussex was back today with Charles and George. Oh my goodness. I was so glad that they came back. And yeah, it was everything that I wanted it to be. It was a great podcast. Let's see. Well, if you go to the community, well, now they call it posts, but if you go to the post, the link for today's Lady Sussex and George and Charles, that link is there. So it was like the last thing I posted, I believe. So you could go there and you will see this thumbnail. That was today's podcast. So anyway, glad they were back. It was a great show. I listened to it while I prepped. So what does this mean for the Invictus Games? If we can bring Megan or the children, the games should be, yeah. Oh, if we can't, I'm sorry, yeah, if we can't bring them. I'm pretty sure Harry wanted to get everything in order before the Invictus Games, right? Just so that there would be some coordination, possibly with his security people. But I'm pretty sure Harry was hoping to look at the plans because the Invictus Games, I don't believe that this would be a royal event, would it? If he's doing something for the royal household, then they say that's when he would get, a different level of security, but it's on a case by case basis. So does this mean that Harry doesn't even have a chance to review it with, his people? I mean, the fact that Harry said some of the things that he said leads me to believe that he needs to see things are going to be carried out in the same way that you would use security for any other senior royal or even one of the prime ministers that are no longer serving, who still gets to keep their security. So yeah, it's something foul about that. And I don't know. I don't know if they should even bother. Now, if Harry doesn't go to the Invictus Games, I'm afraid for the outcome. And especially considering, was it ITV? That little stunt that ITV pulled with the Invictus Games? That doesn't set well with me. I mean, who offers to sponsor the broadcast of the games for a particular market, in this case, for the British television, right? And then when the games are available, they don't even show it. They give like some cock and bull answer about the hours of the games were in conflict or whatever. But the truth is, it was likely deliberately, allegedly mishandled on purpose. I can't help but believe they did that on purpose. And this is why I say to you guys, I would love for Harry to just, you know, ignore this and ignore that, but life is not that easy. Life is not that easy. You have people that are deliberately conspiring against you. It's not even a matter of, oh, if you just ignore them, they will go away. They did that for a year. And the leaking and briefing continued. So it may not seem like it makes a lot of sense right now, but sometimes you just have to step out on faith. Have you ever had to embarrass someone? It's not in your nature to be that person. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But as a consequence, wow, check that out. Things are actually better, right? And I'm sure Harry, as a last resort, felt the need to call them out. Now, it's going to go way or the other. Either things will get better. Well, let's say three ways. It'll get better, it'll stay the same, or it'll get worse. But to do nothing and just allow them to continuously come after you, I don't think that's an option either. I don't think that's an option either. It's got to be, sometimes you have to wear down your opponent. You have to wear down your opponent. Because, yeah, they're over there taking victory laps as though, once again, the royal family has won. Do you know that Charles' funeral, after all those years of waiting to be king, his funeral is going to be about the Sussexes, whether they show up or they don't. They took away the Queen's 70 years of service and gave it to Harry and Meghan. They make everything about Harry and Meghan. My point is, only the tabloid media, they're the only ones that win. And they're not winning like they used to because most times they can't make the money that they used to. They were making so much money when they had access to the Sussexes. Most of them are banned from American television, right? You can hardly get the American media to pay them any attention. So that cut them off. Plus, there's a bit of a saturation. A lot of people are just tired of it. So, yes, it may seem like everybody in the world is thinking about what's going on with Harry and Meghan. But the truth is, the most, I would say, publicity has come really from Meghan this year. And not the worst kind. Not the worst kind. A lot of positive publicity. And the only way that they could make money was to go after her cooking and her gift giving and all that kind of stuff, her products. And what did that do? Rally even more support for Meghan. This isn't a win or lose thing because really nobody in the family is winning when it comes to this. Nobody is winning. Harry didn't get what he wanted out of it, but Charles has just reminded people why he's the worst dad in the world. The worst. So they talk a good game, and they're going to do the best they can to shape people's opinions. They're trying not to lose any ground. I don't think they're gaining any new fans for the royal family. They have the hardcore haters out there, and they're going to be there. But this idea that the world is going to rally to their support right now, there's the haves and the have-mores. The uber rich, the non-tax-paying rich are they're not in good standing anywhere in this world. And I don't think the royal family is any exception to that. People respect the Sussexes because they work for what they get. There's no great respect for that family. What looks like a lot of respect for them is just people who are involved in a culture war that is going to hate Black women for certain. Michelle Obama, Simone Biles, they have an in for Black women. This right-wing establishment, they have it in for Black women. Even their Candace Owens, look at how easily they turned against her because she's not one of them. She's not one of them. It was so easy for them to turn against her. So don't feel like we're losing ground or that the Sussexes are losing ground. No, that's not the case. It's not that easy. Nothing is that simple. And right now, they're doing all this spin and everything, but people are thinking about the summer. The summer is coming. Do you think people are sitting around spending time worrying about the royal family, worrying about what Harry said about them, what they say about him? No. Summer's coming. So don't worry about it. It's not the biggest deal in the world as far as what other people think. And hopefully something amazing will come out of this. But you got to have faith. Don't be as so dismissive about it. Don't just throw in the towel. That is very, very it's not useful right now. So stay positive, stay on message, and hope for the better. It's not over yet. Hopefully they can strike some kind of deal. But if it doesn't happen, then it just was not meant to be. And it just was not meant to be. But there will be other things. There will be other opportunities. And the same way the Sussexes left just in the nick of time, the same way everything came together for them to find that house. Tyler Perry was there for them. There's a lot of people that we don't know of that have been very supportive to them. All of that came together for a reason. So we shouldn't lose faith now. Should not lose faith now. Do not give up on hope. Let me see here. Lex says Charles hasn't talked to Harry, but has seen, what is that, A&L by videos? Oh, Archie and Lily by videos. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw that article about the videos. I don't believe it. Charles does not have that kind of instinct to reach out to his grandkids. This is the man who left the hospital while his eldest child was recovering from a hairline fraction to the skull. a fracture to the skull, right? That's the Charles that walked out of the hospital while the heir to the throne was recovering from a hairline fracture. Charles is not thinking about Archie and Lily. This is the Charles that when Harry came home from the hospital, jumped into his open roadster and drove away within an hour of leaving the Lindo wing. So I do not believe it. I do not believe it. Thank you, Legs. Yeah, and maybe that was an olive branch. Maybe choosing Britain was an olive branch. Maybe that was an opportunity to see what's possible. Well, if it's not possible, I say, good, you have done us a favor. If it's not supposed to be, God will do for you what you cannot do for yourself. The idea of no half in, no half out, right? Now, that seemed like a terrible thing. No half in, no half out. And yet, because they let that go, extraordinary things have happened for them. Who could have conceived of them where they are right now? If Harry and Meghan can achieve, by the way, thank you for your comment. If Harry and Meghan can achieve what they have with all of these things against them, with all of this working against them, it does make you kind of sad because you think to yourself, right? Wow, if they just leave them alone, what couldn't they do? I am inspired by the fact that with so much working against them, they have done amazing things. They really have. They have done so much. And nothing in life is wasted. Nothing that you do is wasted. Whatever effort you put out there, it's not wasted. This going to trial is not a waste of time. Something will yield from this ordeal. I'm just sure of it. It may not be obvious to us. We may never know about it, but something will definitely yield from going on to the trial this time. So I'm just an optimist like that, but I wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it to be true. Ruth C., thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you for being here. Okay, I better get moving here because I didn't even say I don't think we'll be here more than an hour. And guess what? It's almost an hour. But yeah. You know what? You know what? What if this is the one thing that that gets us away from there? Although I got to say this though, I hate to be a party pooper and say this, but I don't know how much money has been invested by Birmingham, and that will, that is a thing. I mean, if they have invested money, if they have spent money already, you know what I'm saying? You kind of have to weigh that before you say we're not coming. Yeah, you have to weigh that. Plus, there is a board of trustees, I believe, for the Invictus Games, and supposedly they were the ones, in theory, that voted for Birmingham. So don't be surprised. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if, for those reasons, they just have to do it. Now, whether Meghan and the children go, that's another thing. I think it's really too bad because it may have been an introduction of the Sussex children to the UK And maybe that's why they just don't want them there, because they don't want that to happen. But I would imagine, I don't know that that would be the case, but it may have served as an introduction of the Sussex children. It may have been the first time that we have seen them at any type of engagement in the UK. That is, if they were even going to go, if they were even going to go. But I think it would have served everyone better if they would have just given Harry the guarantee of security that he asked for. I think it would have done everybody a good turn, but they're very short-sighted, so we shouldn't be surprised. All right, so absolutely, it was a stitch up. It was a stitch up. If Raybeck refused and the judges refused based on no longer serving the crown, then remove the protection from all former prime ministers. Now, this is a guy that I introduced you all to yesterday. Let me drink some water. Anyway, this is the guy that I introduced you to yesterday, Richard J. H. I think that's how you say his name. Is it H? Gail Richards. Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? That is the problem. And given everything that's going on with the Santa Ballet, you guys, there's going to be an Invictus Games Birmingham. I'm just letting you know. I don't see how you can back out of this one. That is a sticking point. That is an issue right there. Harry will be there. I don't know about the rest of the family, but Harry will be there. So yeah, that is an issue. That is an issue. And you can't just change things, because to do that, then you would be accused of being like the royal family, like Charles. So you cannot just not do it. Thank you, Gail Richards. Yeah. They make this semantical argument about, oh, they went to Nigeria. They went to Colombia. They went to some of the most dangerous places on the face of the earth with military protection. And what was brilliant about Colombia is they basically shadowed the vice president. There was only a couple of occasions when they were not shadowing the vice president, which means that the umbrella of protection was simply expanded, leaving very little additional cost to the taxpayers, because the vice president was going to, she was going to be in those spaces anyway. So that was brilliant. And as for Nigeria, I mean, come on, look at what's coming next. Invictus is building this, what do you call it? The place for the veterans and such. So what they're leaving behind is going to be highly valuable. So those were win-wins. Whatever they try to say, those were flawlessly executed and done without any input from the palace. None whatsoever. which makes me my chest just sticks out every time I think about it. And what is the best part about it, you guys? What is the best part? Come on, I want to make you all smile right now. What was the best part about Nigeria and Colombia? Oh, come on, the answer is right there. Okay, let me put this on the screen. Now, I'm going to ask again. What was the best part about Nigeria and Colombia? Oh, I can't wait. They had absolutely no clue. They did not see it coming. All of the inside information and people close to the Sussexes. How do you plan a huge tour like Nigeria and Colombia and nobody's the wiser and given full protection? I mean, they had paramilitary. Oh, nobody was it. I mean, it was flawless. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. You could not have you couldn't make that up. You couldn't even make it up. Yes, there are no leaks. There are no leaks in Montecito. There are no leaks. They didn't see it coming. They were clueless. How do you plan something that big? Well, first of all, in both instances, they were invited. Let's start off with that. And shout out to Germany for sending a government aircraft to scoop them up and take them over there. Oh man. Oh, I can still see what's her name's glasses fogging up. What's that monster's name? Uh Angela Levine, Latrine. I mean, it was just it was oh my God. I smile when I think about it. I smile, I blush, I laugh, I kick my feet out. Amazing. Because the last time we saw the riffraff on the tour like that, it was a disaster. Y'all know they ain't been no place since the Commonwealth. Since they lost half the Commonwealth, they ain't been nowhere. They ain't done nothing. They ain't been nowhere. That little trip to the island, nobody even knows what the hell the name of it was. And think about this. Think about this. While everybody's right now, licking their wounds about the court case, myself included, think about this. If they could do all of that with the leaking and the briefing and everything that goes against them, I don't see how they're not in winning. I don't see how they're not winning, because they are. They've already won. Everything else that happens is the icing on the cake. Every day they demonstrate we can do better than what you all are doing with everything you supposedly have going for you. That's monumental. That is monumental. Lex says, see how nefarious the Royal Road of British royal family is. They want them unprotected and disrespected. If they are not, they complain about it, wanting to know about security. Yeah. Thank you, Legs. Exactly. I love that. They want them unprotected and disrespected. The British government, especially when it comes to Commonwealth countries, they can't just go around telling people what to do. And as long as there is something that involves the military, that they're not going to take that away from Harry. They would love to somehow cause problems for Harry with his connection to the military because it makes the rest of them look so bad. But that's just not going to happen. That there's no way they could ever achieve that. You can make them the leader of the military in name only, but when it's time for something to happen, just like little children, they have to be dismissed. And Captain Ridiculous here with that field marshal. Charles with his childbearing hips in that field marshal uniform. This is so embarrassing. I'm so embarrassed for him. I know I keep going back to this, but I'm sorry. I'm just embarrassed. And I feel bad for him because he don't know how ridiculous he looks. He has no clue how ridiculous he looks. Oh, thank you, Sussex Teen Warrior. I have no idea what I said, but thank you. But he looks so ridiculous. He's carrying some type of baton. And he he looks like Rommel raging war through the desert. What is the point of it? He's even got the belt on. What is the belt doing? Holding your hips together? It's just so embarrassing. Oh, and then he brought that drunkard over there with him. Act like she don't want to hold nobody's hands. Okay, I'm going to take it down, but just please take one last lingering. Please take one last lingering look at this man. Oh, I just can't wait to be king. Yes, I just can't wait to be king. I feel like I'm looking at like something directly out of Central Casting. Like they've just done a remake of War and Peace, or I don't know what is the name of one of those movies, The Winds of War. Yeah, like a remake of The Winds of War. Remember that miniseries? Okay, let me get him off the screen. I'm embarrassed, and he should be embarrassed too. All right. Oh, Megan's Jam. I could imagine. So there should not be any need to apologize, BBC News, for opinion-based interviews. Absence of a threat or risk assessment on Prince Harry, where the focus is on legal process influenced by the recommendations of a committee that is not independent. It defines stitch up. So, in case you guys don't know it, the BBC has offered an apology over Harry's use of the term stitch up. Harry said it was a stitch up. Or in other words, Harry told the truth. He said the truth, that it was a stitch up. And the BBC obviously has gotten that phone call from the palace warning them that they have overstepped the mark. That is the only way that happened. The palace, or perhaps the palace lawyers, decided to reach out to them and accuse them of something. But Harry said it was a stitch up. Now, let me see here. I didn't think about to just now, but I'm trying to see if I can find one of those clips where he mentioned stitch up. I don't want to play like too much of it. Well, I don't see a direct anyway, but anyway, you know that's what he said, is that it was a stitch up. It felt like a stitch up. It looked like a stitch up. It was a stitch up. It walked like a stitch up. It was a stitch up. And if you ask me, what does that mean, stitch up? It is a term for when they call upon favors, right? It makes things look official and above board when everybody knows that some bureaucrats or some flunkies came together and they pretend as though the outcome would be based on a fair assessment, but it was not. That's a stitch up. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a stitch up. So Harry told the truth, and they're upset. So they decided to go after the BBC and challenge them on the use of the term stitch up. And what happened? The BBC caved. As per usual, they caved to the unseen hand, the unseen sausage fingers. Oh, that word is trending, stitch up. I had no idea. That makes sense. Okay. All right. So let me continue here. You can barely see it. Now, I'm going to play a little soundbite for you. I do have a soundbite. I just realized that. I'm going to play a little soundbite for you.
Argued that his situation should have been put before RAVEC's risk management board to assess the threats he and his family security actually faced. That didn't happen. Were you surprised with the ruling the court came up?
I was shocked, but certainly not surprised. Sir Geoffrey Voss, the judge in the Court of Appeal, said that the Duke's grievance had not translated into a legal argument. Well, that's because the provision of protection should not be based on legal argument, but through a formalised approach to the assessment of threat and risk. But they're firmly sticking to legal process, ruling that the security decision has been a predictable and even a sensible reaction to Megxit, when Harry stepped back from being a senior royal in Great Britain. Threats against a person who has protection afforded to them due to their status within a specific family are not diminished when they leave the duties of that family. They will always remain a member of that family. Prince Harry is sixth in line to the throne. That hasn't changed. The threat and risk assessment against Harry hasn't really been mentioned whatsoever throughout the past 5 years during this process. it's all been geared around a legal approach to the situation and not about any formalised approach to the assessment of risk and threat against him.
Well, the judges said yesterday the committee had diverged from policy back in 2020 because of the complexity of his circumstances. It was deemed a sensible thing to do. But it sounds like you might agree with what sounded like a very emotive judgment of his, that this has been a stitch-up.
Absolutely. I think Prince Harry has nailed it in the terminology there. It is an establishment stitch-up. It's clear that the entire process has been caught up in emotion and appears to be nothing other than spite from the royal household, where senior public figures in position of power in government and in Ravek must...
Harry argued that...
Okay, so there you go. It wasn't Prince Harry, but it means the same thing. A stitch up. So the actual apology from that backward gang of children that's called the BBC, that was ridiculous. That's a bit small. Let me see if I can find it here. That is equally small. Let me see if I can zoom into that. So it says correction and clarification. The BBC responds to editorial, technical, and corporate issues. You don't say. This page includes apologies, significant corrections, statements, and responses. It does not include routine corrections to news stories, minor on-air apologies, or scheduled changes. Corrections and clarifications are published in the order that they were issued. Okay? So it says, today, Radio 4, 3rd May 2025, the program covered the latest development in the story of Prince Harry and his legal case around protection for him and his family in the UK, and interviewed former close protection officer H.R.H. To get a broader understanding of security considerations. Claims were repeated that the process had been an establishment stitch-up, and we failed to properly challenge this and other allegations. This case is ultimately the responsibility of the Home Office, and we should have reflected their statement. We are pleased that the court has found in favor of the government's position in this case. And this is a quote: the UK government's protective security system is rigorous and proportionate. Let me see. It is our long-standing policy not to provide detailed information on those arrangements, as doing so could compromise their integrity. I'm sorry, I had to laugh when I saw compromise integrity and affect individuals' security. We also should have given the view of Buckingham Palace. Isn't that what they do 99.999% of the time, is give the view of Buckingham Palace? Huh? Isn't that what they do almost every day of the week, is give the view of Buckingham Palace? Why are they apologizing for the one time in God knows how many that it didn't go Buckingham Palace's way? I'm just asking for a friend. Anyway, all of these issues have been examined repeatedly and meticulously by the court, with the same conclusion reached on each occasion. This was a lapse in our usual high editorial standards. Rot in hell. Okay, so sorry, I just let an editorial slip. Rot in hell. Now, I had to think about it. The BBC, the BBC, the BBC. What is it about the royals and the BBC? Well, the BBC is publicly owned. Amen. It is a publicly owned institution, and it is funded in part by the government. And they have taken a vow of independence of, the government. They're supposed to have their own editorial standards away from the government. But from time to time, certain things slip through the cracks. Now, if you recall, the BBC was challenged by William. This is just another occasion when the tabloids, even the tabloid television, have managed to go after the big dog. The BBC has a better reputation around the world than any other news agency, any other news group in Britain. They have consistently been rated better than the rest of them. And so for that reason, anytime that you can point a finger at the BBC, they get all excited and start frothing at the mouth. Aha, I got you. Waiting for the day that they could erode the trust that the public has in the BBC. Now, I'm not saying that the BBC is so trustworthy, because just like with this, you can see they're bending to the suggestion of the royal family, of the institution, which means that you can't trust them all the time, but consistently they are still more respectable than most. There are people around the world that have been given a voice by the BBC, and that's true. That is true. Now, I know I'm an outsider. I'm not from the UK, but there have been some amazing reports that I have seen on the BBC. BBC has taken me to places I didn't even know exist. They've done some incredible reporting. Now, how much of it is full of propaganda, lies, or whatever, I don't know. I didn't, and at the time, feel that that's what I was getting. I thought I was just getting a window into what's happening in the world. And so I took it at face value. So don't assume that I'm giving them a free pass for everything, because I'm certainly not. But I'm saying consistently, they're more trusted than the rest of them. And that right there has got to mean something. Chef Sandy Love, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you for being here on Royal Sussex. So William and Kate, they do not trust the BBC. They do not trust them. And William in particular, because of Diana's Panorama interview. Of all of the news agencies in the UK, Diana not promised, but trusted the BBC with her story, with her words, hoping that, for what it was worth, she would be able to get her side of the story out. And she did. And I believe the royal family hasn't really stopped punishing them ever since. Now, the person who takes most of the heat for it is Martin Bashir, and of course the rest of the people at Panorama. But it's not lost on me that there was a brown man on the other side of it that they could shift all the blame to. Didn't that come as a relief? Bashir, lurid and false claims that he says fueled Diana's fear and paranoia and drove his parents apart. That did not happen because of Panorama. Now, I have a theory about this. I have shared it before. I'm going to share it again because I still believe it to be true. And that is that the unseen hand, the puppeteers, decided that they would get Dum Dum to read a speech where he totally, what do you call it? They call it, is slate? Is that what they call it? Is that British term? He slated them. Well, whatever it is. He totally went after the BBC. Made it seem like they were the worst people in the world. But who would want him to do that? The Daily Mail, the Sun, all the rest of the tabloids. Because try as they may, and they don't really try, but more people trust the BBC than trust the Daily Mail. There's more people that trust the BBC than will ever trust the Sun or ITV or Channel 4 and all the rest of them. Now, that being said, I think Channel 4 has attempted to do some really great journalism. I think ITV has attempted to do some great journalism, but usually they fall short from where I'm sitting. They seem to fall short when it comes to the royal family. Like, for instance, Coronation Day. The palace cherry-picked all of the things that they preferred never seen the light of day again. You guys remember that? Any coverage that was, shall we say, embarrassing for Charles and Godzilla, that was removed. That was removed. You couldn't go back on the like the YouTube or any place like that. You couldn't just go back and see it. If it was part of one of those broadcasters from the BBC, it was removed. Like a bunch of empty seats and in front of screens where they put all these screens up so that people across the entire UK could publicly celebrate the coronation. Well, because there wasn't much celebration in places, they made sure that that coverage was removed after Coronation Day. So they routinely cave in for the royal family. And I'm sure this is just another example of it. I remember someone wrote, when Auntie Thompson took his new role as PR guru for William and Kate, he thought he hit the jackpot. So far, two tragic tours, Earth flop and Jamaica tour flopped. I bet he's rethinking his plans. I love that. Auntie Lee Thompson. If you know, you know. Okay. And let me see here. Oh, yeah. Will and Kate binge BBC. They switched Christmas concert special to ITV. Royal Fury over bias Harry and Meghan documentary. That documentary, by the time the documentary aired, there was no meat to it. Do you guys remember that documentary? The one where they asked Omid Scobie something and then they faded his voice away. You couldn't even hear the entirety of his response. The royal family dispatched some of their henchmen in there, and that documentary, which promised to be fair and balanced, it was ruined. It was ruined. There was nothing to it. Hell, they may as well have let William select the camera crew. It had no teeth. By the time they were done with it, they had no teeth. There was no bite, no chew, nothing. But I guess the hostility from Will and Kate is because they made it in the first place. So in retaliation, they moved the Christmas, what is that thing called? The Christmas Carol. They moved the Christmas Carol over to ITV as a punishment. They're still at it, you guys. They're still at it. I'll explain that one in a minute. I'll explain that one in a minute. Let me just pretend like you didn't see that. Eva Borglund, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you so much for being a member of Royal Sussex. Okay, let's do this then. Okay, you all ready?
Her father, but he brought her up. He paid for all her education, and he got her into the film television industry.
Okay, let me do that again, just in case you missed it.
He's trashed her father, but he brought her up. He paid for all her education, and he got her into the film television industry because he was a lighting director, an award-winning lighting director. So how cruel is that he can't see his grandchildren?
Well, she's got her reasons, hasn't she, why she fell out with her father, which you've completely avoided mentioning, that she's talked about quite publicly.
Oh, it's just something trivial.
Oh, it's something trivial in your opinion, but it's obviously very important to her if she decided to break up contact with him.
They're both liars. Liars. They've been caught out lying.
Okay. And you're the expert, Susan. But Charles has never lied, yeah?
And they're only after money. And they're running a business now. They're not in the royal family.
And where does King Charles get all his money from?
Making business.
Where does King Charles get all his money from? Idiots like us. They say you've got a couple that are earning a decent living by making stuff and selling it, and you've got a family that sponges off us.
What does he want to bother them?
No, but no, you'll help me out here, right? So you're criticising just help us out. You're criticising a couple who are paying their own way while simultaneously standing up for a family that sponge off us.
I'm not standing up for a family. I'm a Republican, actually.
Right. Okay. Don't sound like one.
Like another caller, we should have a referendum about this. She's trashed her father, but he brought her up. He paid for all her education, and he got her into the film television industry.
You know what? I liked her better when she was down on the floor with her walker, or with her walking frame, as you guys say in the UK. I liked her better when she was laid across the floor. I don't like her calling into the I don't like her calling into the radio stations. I liked her better when she was laying spread eagle on the bathroom floor. But once she started calling in and giving her opinion, I had no use for her. So thank you, sir, for straightening that out. I've fallen and I can't get up. Who's this? I'm falling and I can't get up. Well, I ain't sending nobody to get you because you're a Republican, right? Sort it out yourself. Uh-huh. I'm telling you, the demographic, this Sussex hating demographic is so disappointing. You would think somebody in that situation would be a little bit more considerate, but no. Instead, she wants to be all nasty and let's listen to it again. Let's listen to it again.
She's trashed her father, but he brought her up. He paid for all her education, and he got her into the film television industry because he was a lighting director, an award-winning lighting director. So how cruel is that? That he can't see his grandchildren. He's
Well,
pleaded.
she's got her reasons, hasn't she, why she fell out with her father, which you've completely avoided mentioning, that she's talked about quite publicly.
It's just something trivial.
Oh, it's something trivial in your opinion, but it's obviously very important to her if she decided to break up contact with him.
They're both liars. Liars. They've been caught out lying.
Okay. And you're the expert, Susan. But Charles has never lied, yeah?
And they're only after money. They want the money and the prestige, and they're running a business now. They're not in the royal family.
And where does King Charles get all his money from?
Jam-making business.
Where does King Charles get all his money from? Idiots like us. So you've got a couple that are earning a decent living by making stuff and selling it, and you've got a family that sponges off us.
What does he want to bother the
No, but no, you're help me out here, right? So you're criticising just help us out. You're criticising a couple who are paying their own way while simultaneously standing up for a family that sponge off us.
I'm not standing up for a family. I'm a Republican, actually.
Right. Okay. Don't sound like one.
Like another caller, we should have a referendum about this. She's trashed her father, but he brought her up. He paid for all her education, and he.
Oh my God. You see what I'm talking about? These are not nice people. These derangers and haters and Brexiteers and MAGA people, they're all cut from the same cloth. They're all flip sides of the same coin, especially if it involves a woman of color. I don't know what is it when they see a woman of color, they just get so agitated. Anyway, I'm not calling for any help for her, and don't you all call either. Leave her sit there. And from Duchess of Success, let's see. People who have never stuck up to toxic family members. As soon as I heard her, I was like all ready to come on, and I was like, wait a minute, I cannot let this one get past me. This is too easy, too much fun. Let's see, Vivi Mac, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you for being here. And let's see, this guy right here. I know he's got crazy eyes, but listen, I just want to say, let me apologize in advance, because just like with the guy from Scotland, they all have to make this acknowledgement about, well, Harry and Meghan aren't perfect, or, well, they have. I don't give a crap about that stuff. They ain't done nothing wrong. If you so bothered by that, obviously you have never had the weight of the world on your shoulders. I think Harry and Meghan are doing extraordinary for the type of grief that they're up against. But anyway, let me get this one playing for you.
I think everything else he's done, he's created himself. And everything else he's done, he's completely on his own back.
You see that? Much as I think that everything he's done, he created himself, as much as I think that everything he's done is on his own back, why do you have to qualify all of that before you just get to the point? Just get to the point. I think they're afraid that people are going to be in judgment of them. So they have to, put that little cautionary thing out there first. But anyway, let's get to it.
Much as I think everything else he's done, he's created himself. And everything else that he's done, he's completely on his own back. On this, I actually agree with him. And let me explain why. So are you aware, for example, that every prime minister in this country who is still living gets a full security detail for life? So people like John Major, who stopped being prime minister back in the mid-90s, 30 years ago, still gets a full security detail. Liz Truss, who was prime minister for 43 days, gets a full security detail and will do for the rest of her life. And that applies to many people that have held senior positions in public life in this country. So irrespective of what you think of Harry and Meghan, they are part of the royal family. They would have a target on their head. And surely they are as deserving of security details and security contacts as people like John Major, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, and every other Prime Minister, Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, etc., etc. And therefore, taking that away from them just smacks of pettiness, bitterness, and has been done deliberately to shaft them. And I'm not a hypocrite. I don't believe that's the right way to go about things. I think it's petty and wrong to take away from them something that they clearly do need security, and to take away from them something that everyone else in public life at senior level, and not even as senior as them, gets. And that's why, purely on this basis, not on everything else he's done, but purely on this particular argument, I think he's in the right. And I think he's got the right to have the ump, be pissed off with his family, with the government, and with MI5, MI6, etc., and provide this security for him.
That's what lets you know that Harry hit the target. That's what tells you that Harry hit the target. And that is why they have blanketed the airways with all of these so-called royal reporters, is because Harry hit the target. People heard him. They heard what he said. And I believe a great deal more people agree with him and would love for the Sussexes to have the security that they deserve. But they are being shouted down. They are being, silenced by this outpouring, this overwhelming media response. I believe there has probably been, God knows how many hundreds of articles already trying to shift public opinion because he hit the target. It may seem painful to watch, and it is. It may seem as though Harry was completely defeated, but that does not mean that it did not hit the target, because it did. The problem is, after all of the gaslighting, the overwhelming amount of gaslighting, I'm afraid that it may not work out so well. The first thing that Rebecca English wrote, it started with the phrase gaslighting. The gaslighting, blah, 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 blah. That was her signal to the rest of the royal reporters to get on their case, to go after everything that Harry said and tear it down word for word. Blanket the airways with coverage. That's something they're very good at. Now, fortunately, it was the weekend. And, on the weekends, a lot of people are not paying attention. That's why they call it the Friday evening dump, because a lot of people are not paying attention to the news. And we almost forget that we're in a bubble as things go. We drive the algorithm to bring us things to do with the Sussexes. That's not what most people in the world are seeing. So every so often, that barrier has been broken. And Harry's words broke that barrier. It went much further than the space we occupy. And so someone like this guy and the guy from Scotland that I tried to play for you earlier, there's a lot of people that you don't normally see discussing this that get it. Where the problem comes from is that there are just so many people that are going to do the best that they can to shift public opinion so that there would be absolutely no pressure to do the right thing. And it's unfortunate. Far too often they get away with it. But that the that interview was problematic for them. It was problematic because they've invested a lot. They've invested a lot. And when I say they, I mean the institution. They have invested a lot in shaping their public image. And they're still attempting to do that. They have not really reached that point. The only way that they can get people to care about Charles, they had to give him cancer. The only way they can get people to care about Kate, they had to give her cancer. Now, that's not to say whether or not they are ill or have been ill or whatever, but they didn't have to publicly announce it. Queen Elizabeth didn't. Charles could have gone about his business and there would have been some speculation, and that's the end of it. Because at the end of the day, once those royal rota people, once they hit the airways, it's whatever they say it is, right? Like the Thomas Kingston. There was the unfortunate chain of events, but thanks to the journalists, the so-called journalists, the tabloid media, they create so much confusion, you really don't know what happened, do you? We can only speculate. Kate was gone for 172 days, and there wasn't enough love or concern about her. There was no outpouring from the public about her well-being. The few people that cared just believed the little press briefings and such, well, little clips from the papers, and they didn't care. They didn't care. And that's the royal family's problem, is nobody cares. They tried to drum up all that emotion for Prince Philip when he died. And what happened? There were complaints to the, what was it? Ofcom? People complained about them disrupting their regular scheduled programming. Okay. 70 years on the throne, and most people were interested in the soap opera called Harry and Meghan, and most of them didn't give a tinker's damn about the fact that the queen of 70 years, who met every American president but one, they didn't even care about her. They were just like, are we getting a bank holiday or not? So from where we're sitting, it may look kind of bad. It may look kind of bad. I will admit, it doesn't necessarily look promising, but it's not hopeless. And the royal family has not gotten a free pass. They have not. The old saying, would you rather be feared or respected? Well, they don't have either. Nobody is afraid of them and nobody respects them. They certainly don't have respect. They literally had to come up with cancer, 2 cancers for the price of one. What was it, 90 minutes apart? I still cannot understand that. You announce cancer and then you come back and do it almost immediately. And from that point forward, I feel like something is not right. It's not consistent. Somebody's lying about something. That was the biggest distraction of 2024. You don't make announcements like that back to back. That's just not done. They announced cancer like it was some type of military thing that happened, like there was some kind of coup attempt. You know what I'm saying? You announced something like that so you can inform the public that yes, they've been, but it's all okay now and they're on the road to recovery. That's when you would announce it back to back, like they were in an accident or something like that. But just that one has a cancer that's not cancerous. I mean, one surgery that is not cancerous, followed by another surgery that is not cancerous. And then when the public didn't seem too upset, then they turned it into cancer. The only thing that that institution has going for them is this good versus evil saga that they have colluded with the tabloid media to create. If it wasn't for this, they wouldn't have anything. Because remember, it's going to be at least another probably 10 years before there's another royal wedding. And I hate to say it, but you know, they're kids. We don't know how those kids are going to, how they're going to sell them to the public, because they're still kids. And I'm not wishing anything bad on them, but I'm just saying there's a reason why Beatrice and Eugenie have been pretty much hidden from view. There's a reason for that. Think about it. So they don't know what they got yet. And I'll just leave it there. I dare not go any further, but there's a reason. Now, Robert passed the CPAP Jobson. Robert, where is my CPAP Jobson? Robert, have you seen my inhaler Jobson? The man who sleeps with Vicks Vapor Rub on his chest every night, hoping to catch a breath.
Interview at times he looked pretty close to tears when he was mentioned, saying things about his father, and I feel for him a little bit actually. I hear what everyone seems to be jumping on the bandwagon again and attacking him. I think that the reality here is he is a target. He was born into this family. He is somebody who, you know, it's not his fault. He was born as the second son of the now king. He served on the front line, making him a legitimate target, and now he can't bring his family back to the country and to be part of his family. I understand that he's done things wrong, and I think he has made huge mistakes. But that was a very emotional interview. He looked thinner. He didn't look particularly happy. I don't know. I think also when considering these judgments, and I perfectly understand the taxpayers shouldn't be paying all this money and all that. If something did happen to Harry, if he came back to this country or anywhere else, I'm sure there'll be a huge outcry about why wasn't he protected. And so I have reservations about the judgment, even though I agree with it. I agree with the fact that the premise of it. I agree with the fact that he left his country. I agree with the fact that he no longer is a working royal. But he is a very, very high-profile person through no fault of his own, and I think that brings with it, well, obviously the emotion you've seen there, but also dangers. And you know, I just wonder with this type of story that goes on, and I've covered this story for 35 years. The death of the Princess of Wales, etc. You know, security is a very, very important thing. It's something that his father warned him about before he took this decision. He actually said, think very carefully about this. And he obviously, I don't think, did think carefully about it. I think he felt he was entitled to that security. Very emotional interview.
Okay. So the person who shared this, thank you so much for that. And they warned that toward the end that Robert Jobson kind of goes off the rails. They all do that. They all have to qualify their decision to speak the least bit favorably toward Harry's case by saying, well, you know, he did this and this and I don't care about all that, because all of the people that are saying that, well, they haven't done everything right, these are people who has not been subject to a brother that seems to hate you and plot against you, who attacked you in your own home on the occasion that he showed up looking for your wife. He was looking for his wife. when he went over there and attacked Harry. Okay? Not to mention, his brother is known to have rage issues. A brother who eventually will become king, and that same petty, ignorant brother of his would have been in control of Harry's future. He would have controlled the purse strings. Harry would be subject to his brother's whims. And all of those people that have to qualify their comments, they all know that they would not want to be downwind from William. They know this. They know how William is. They already know how he is. Harry would have to duck around and make himself small, just like Prince Edward, just like Prince Andrew. The only person who don't make themselves small, of course, is Princess Anne, but I don't know who would mess with her. But my point is, it's one thing that you do this or you do that to me. But once there are children involved that may or may not receive proper protection, which, by the way, is the reason why they left. That's why they left. They left because of Archie. There was no future for Archie there. Archie's future would be the same as Harry's, and we all know that. And so, in order to make sense out of what Robert Jobson is saying, to make sense out of what any of those royal reporters are saying, we all have to pretend like that would not be the future. It would be. There's nothing just or holy or profound about William that he's going to be any better than his father. Most people assume he's going to be worse. It's one thing if you're coming after me, but I'm not going to sit back and let you hurt my children. You're not allowed to do that. And so, whether they left sooner or they left later, they were bound to leave. Now, Harry and Meghan did not see a future without each other. They did not see that as an option. You go to America, I'll come and see you sometime. That is what they really wanted. You go to America, I'll come and see you when I can. That's really what they wanted. You go, take the kids with you, and we keep Harry. And in the meantime, there would be one article after the other about what's happening over in America. Either way, there was no scenario where they would not be attacked on a daily basis. And Robert Jobson is too intelligent to sit here and pretend otherwise. There was no option, just play the game. Instead of saying just play the game, why don't you just say, just be Princess Margaret? Just be Princess Margaret. That's what they should say. Just be Princess Margaret. Allow yourself to be destroyed by an institution. Your sister's the most powerful person in the land, not woman, but the most powerful person in the land, and that gave no protection to Margaret. Just like right now, Charles is the most powerful person in the land, and there's no protection for his own child or his grandchildren. So they'll continue to pretend like if Harry and Meghan would have just played the game, they should have stayed. Ignore the character assassination. Ignore the fire in the nursery in South Africa. Ignore the The fact your child was compared to a chimpanzee and that person gets to keep their job? Ignore the reporter who fantasized about Meghan being paraded in the streets, and that person gets to keep his job. Now, there is a place where you can go and people don't get to keep their job. It's called California. It's called the US. Now, yes, things are changing right now, but I'm telling you, I grew up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and I know better. I've seen many a white person lose their job for the kind of stuff that I see in the UK. And instead of losing their job, they only get more popular. That's why you see those Karens on the YouTube video, well, on those TikToks and everything. You know how you see them when they know that they're about to become viral because they displayed racism and they have a total meltdown like that girl was crying in the Victoria's Secret shop? Because she knows. She knows. She knew what was going to happen. She would be a pariah. She'd lose her job. That doesn't happen in the UK. And pretty soon it's not going to happen here either, just so you know. I'm not picking on the UK because pretty soon it's going to be that way here. We've seen some examples of it. But my point is, where that's concerned, they're much safer in California than they are in the UK. And even if for some reason they stayed, you got a man with a crossbow going after Queen Elizabeth. You have someone go on to the Windsor estate and steal a vehicle. Prince Philip flipped his car. Prince Philip jettisoned his car and ricocheted and flipped it over. You can't even walk through the Windsor estate without Prince Philip almost running you over. So, yeah, they're safer in California. So, I thought that this was done, but it's not. When I saw this article, I knew who wrote this article. I knew it. The king of revisionist history, Cameron Roy. That's that little a-hole that they hired. They brought him on as a what is that, a trainee or whatever. And what he does is he combs the internet and he goes through all of the old newspaper, I guess, articles, and he tries to find something. The two reasons why Meghan Markle and Prince Harry did not want Archie to use Earl of Dumbarton title. Now, this is stupid to even write about this because Harry is the Earl of Dumbarton, right? Like many Americans, Meghan Markle seems to be bemused by the historical British tradition of using titles to members of the royal family. She's bemused by it. I don't think so. I mean, she's the Duchess of Sussex. She's Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. She signs her name that way. So if she's using that on her stationery, I don't think she's bemused at all. I think she's taken to it like a fish to water. How about you? But anyway, I digress. That is his opinion. And so he's going to stick with that one. That Meghan is bemused by the use of titles. So he says, although she is often enthusiastic about making the most of her and Harry's Duke and Duchess of Sussex title, she is alleged, he's using alleged, to have been less keen on one of the ones bestowed upon her son Archie. Now, again, we've done this already. When she heard the news, he would automatically get the title. Royal author Tom Bowers claims, she said, hell no. No son of mine is going to be called dumb. Now, right there, I'm just going to say that sounds a bit racist to me. Tom Bauer thinks all Black women start off a comment with, hell no. Doesn't that sound a little, I mean, come on, you guys. Meghan don't talk like that. Meghan does not talk like that. There's no evidence whatsoever that Meghan prances around, hell no, no son of mine is going to be called dumb. But where did Tom Bauer get that from? Tom Bauer actually got that from a real dumb person. Dumb. And obsessed. That's where he got it from. That's where we first heard it. From this person. Archie Harrison is Earl of Dumbarton, whether he likes it or not, Robert Jobson rages. Archie Harrison will inherit the Earl of Dumbarton title from Prince Harry, whether he likes it or not. The royal expert has raged. Robert Jobson even went on to say, Harry is the Earl of Dumbarton already. When he is in Scotland, Archie is the heir to that title. Period. There's no mechanism to reject it. Now, he may not want to use it, or he may want to use it, but there is no mechanism. Thank you, Mary H. There is no mechanism to reject that title. It's his name. It'll be his name. But that dum-dum, Camilla Tominey, exclusive. I mean, she really thought she had something. Harry and Meghan rejected Earl of Dumbarton title for Archie because it contains the word dumb. And where did she get that from? I'm willing to bet you burner account. Now, she is supposed to be a royal expert. If you're a royal expert, then you should know that Archie is not the Earl of Dumbarton. Harry is. There can only be one at a time. It's not a thing. Harry and Meghan ran for their lives. They were tortured and tormented day after day after day whilst living in the UK. Do you think that they were sitting around talking to their lawyers about the Earl of Dumbarton title? And what's really embarrassing is that Robert Jobson, you see there? Robert Jobson replying to Camilla Tominey, he actually had to call her out. He publicly humiliated her. Harry is the Earl of Dumbarton already when he's in Scotland. Archie is the heir to that title. Dummy. Stupid. If she would have kept her mouth closed, we wouldn't know how stupid she is. But because she dared open her mouth and let a thought out, now we know that she's not that bright. This is something she should have learned years ago. Archie will be the Earl of Dumbarton, period. Only the Royal Rota talked to Megan besides Bradley. Talked to Megan besides. Oh, I'm sorry. Only one Royal Rota talked to Megan besides Bradby. Royal Rota lies. Thank you very much, Legs. Who was that, by the way? I'm trying to think. Who could that have been? Because Megan didn't really speak to the Royal Rota per Prince Harry. That was Prince Harry's idea. Don't talk to them people. But yeah, she really thought that she was on to something. And not only did Robert Jobson publicly give her the smackdown, but he tweeted it to her. He tweeted it to her. Harry is the Earl of Dumbarton already. When he's in Scotland, Archie is the heir to that title. Yeah. See, he said it loud and well, he said it. He grunted it loud and clear. Let's see, seeing all these articles show you all the disrespect they were planning for Meghan and her children. Exactly. They didn't want him to be a prince, yet they want to abuse him. No security while using him. Exactly. You guys, leaving the UK was the smartest thing that they've ever done. That saved their lives. That saved their lives. It honestly saved their lives. Meghan said that some people looked at her and said, "Is he worth it? Is he worth it?" If Harry was not the great person that he is, I'd be the first to say, nah, he's not worth it. But he's a living, breathing contradiction. He's nothing like you would expect him to be. He is so opposite of all of those terrible things that the press said about him. They wanted him to be dumb and a playboy, party prince, and all that kind of stuff. That was a characterization. That was a role that he wasn't exactly born into. I do believe that somewhere in that institution, and this is just my opinion, I won't say who I think, but I do believe that there were people in that institution that were doing the best that they could to make sure that Harry failed, that Harry could not be successful. They put him in the worst housing available. Didn't really show him any kind of concern or any type of like support after his mother died. I mean, they literally told the people at his boarding school that no one is to mention his mother. They didn't even want the people on the staff to ask about, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Are you okay? They didn't want that for him. They wanted him to pretend as though nothing had happened. They even told the other students, do not talk about his mom. They had plans for him. I believe he was plied with alcohol and other things. I mean, think about it. Look, who can you name anybody that was hanging around them at Highgrove, Club H? Can you think of anybody that was older than them hanging around William and Harry at Club H, anybody who is still a key player in this story. Now, I won't say the name, but think about that. Someone who is so close to it that they would have a reason to turn the brothers against one another, that they would have a good reason to play up all of their disagreements and all of their issues. Who would be that close to them at the Club H? Think about that for a second. Somebody with one of the largest heads I've ever seen on a person, a mouth as wide as the deck of an aircraft carrier. I don't think any of that was by chance. But for the grace of God, Harry somehow made it through. But they were hoping that they could Princess Margaret him. Yeah, that is something to think about. That is something to think about. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. I think we're on to it. You get a bell for that one. You get a bell for that one. And he was just one. He was one of, I'm sure, others involved in that whole thing. They could not let the brothers be brothers to each other. Not that William would have turned out any differently, but I think that there was a lot of planning that went into things. And when Harry left, that interrupted the plans that they had. I think that really disrupted their plans. Harry leaving, as they say, upset the apple cart. Lex says Valentine Lowe got, I was thinking about that, but I didn't want to call it an interview. But Valentine Lowe did get a 5-minute chat with Meghan in Africa. And he said that Meghan looked right through him. I remember that. And when you said that, I was thinking Valentine Lowe, but I didn't want to qualify that as an interview. But that's the only other person I could think of that she spoke to. And Valentine Lowe knew that Meghan was suffering. And as soon as he walked away from her, what did he do? Write another nasty article. But credit to Meghan that she her public face was always very dignified. She always put on a very dignified public face. You could really see that things had gotten so bad when they were in South Africa, with the whole thing with Archie's nursery and such. But, and whatever happens, just like when Meghan mentioned Archie's nursery, the first thing that the tabloid media will do is that they will try to spin it and downplay it. Meghan exaggerates, all of those things. They would come up with a probably 20 different things without saying, thank God Archie is safe, or why wouldn't she? Because listen, they expect. Meghan said she thought that given everything that happened with Archie, that they would just postpone whatever thing they had for that day. And they were like, oh no, you have to go. I don't think there's any accident that after South Africa, they were just like, we're out of here. We're out of here. That's why I said, you guys, it's one thing when you come after me, but if you're coming after my babies, that changes everything. That changes everything. Unless you're Charles, then you can do whatever you want to his kids. But if you're coming after my babies, that changes everything. And that was the last straw. That was the last straw. Oh, by the way, take a look. There's Jobo talking to Camilla Tominey right there. I wonder, but you know what? I don't think she's got enough sense to be offended. I don't think she has enough sense to be offended. If she didn't like what Robert Jobson said, she wasn't going to say anything. But I'm glad she exposed herself as being right stupid. We heard you loud and clear, girl. Yep, we heard you loud and clear. Not wrapped too tight.
Right in the book about when they try to force that Fab Four thing on us during the Queen's death, you know, that sort of fake walkabout when they're supposed to be together, that Kate said to another member of the royal family that it was one of the hardest things she ever had to do. Now, then immediately on Twitter you get all those Sussex troll idiots saying, well, you need to get out more if that's the hardest thing she ever done. You know, but, you know, the point of it is that it was a very difficult
Where is the chair? Where is the chair? Now I see Camilla Tominey's chair, but where is Robert Jobson's chair? Is he just levitating or is that a chair up under him? Huh? Can y'all see it? Because I don't see it. I thought it was a chair, but I don't see it. I see a couple of sticks, but I just don't see a chair. Why is it you can see her chair, but you can't see his? Isn't that strange? I'm just asking. Can't help but think Star Wars when I see these two. Okay, Jabba the Hutt and okay, thank you very much, Legs. Kensington Palace did an awful lot of leaking on Harry and Meghan, claims royal commentator. Kensington Palace was involved in an awful lot of leaking after Prince Harry and Meghan, royal commentator Robert Jobson has claimed. So that was back in November of 2021. So the Oprah interview was in March. And I think by November, did we have the docu-series by November? Or was that in 2022? Maybe it was 2022. Oh, I can't remember. But anyway, okay, so he got that right. Okay, that's the point for Robert Jobson. King Charles stripped Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their security as revenge Now, you see there? This is why I tell you guys, he knows better. This man knows better, but he has to play the game. He can't give up too much. If he ever just told the truth, the real truth. King Charles removed Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's personal security in the UK in an attempt to keep them under control, according to a new report. Can you believe Robert Jobson said that? Can you believe he said that? Prince William's decision to lie about contracting the pandemic earlier, for whatever reason, is appalling. Kensington Palace are asked several times by the media whether Prince William had contracted the virus, and were told categorically, no. This has created serious issues of trust. If the palace is prepared to lie about an issue as serious as Prince William, second in line to the throne, contracting the virus, what else have they lied about when questioned by the press? And why should the media believe any denials going forward? This raises serious issues. Now, you know what? If the Royal Rota actually did that every day, the entitlement that they claim that Prince Harry expects, maybe the rest of that clan would not live by this overabundant, overindulgent entitlement. I was told personally and categorically by senior aide to Duke when millions of public money was spent on KP and apartment 1A for the Cambridges that KP would be their base when William became heir to the throne. Is that now changing with the move to Berkshire? Now, that is some solid journalism. That is solid journalism. I was told categorically by a senior royal aide, William and Kate spent millions of dollars of the taxpayers' money decorating that 22-room apartment 1A. That was Princess Margaret's old apartment. However, they did not mean to stay there. They didn't mean to stay there. So that was supposed to be their city home. Their country estate, Admiral Hall, actually belonged to another family. They were leasing it from the Crown estate, but Queen Elizabeth kicked them out because William and Kate said they wanted it. How much time do they spend at Admiral Hall? How much time do they spend at apartment 1A? William, it didn't take him long before he got used to being over at, what's that other place? The Windsor Castle. And that whole folly about the Adelaide Cottage. I don't think anybody is staying at Adelaide Cottage at this point. I really don't. That was just really when he and Kate, whatever their relationship has turned into, that is supposed to be a little safe space for Kate, not for William. I don't see William living there. I don't see him living there. That right there was just to confuse the public. Okay. Pathetically trying to distract from the Liverpool Boobilee. I knew it was coming. Now, this is when Robert Jobson shows that he's still capable of being a complete disappointment. Whatever happened to the Buckingham Palace investigation into the Duchess of Sussex allegations of bullying royal staff? He just came up with that out of the blue. when everybody was laughing at William, he took it upon himself to go to Twitter and just out of the blue, it was not a thing, you guys. It was not a thing. Nobody was talking about it. And just out of the blue, he asked about the bullying claims to take the heat off of William being laughed at because he was being booed, mercilessly booed, when he went to Liverpool. So at the end of the day, Robert Jobson is still just any other reporter. He has such potential. He has such potential. But the thing is, the money comes from the crown. Robert Jobson can have unlimited apple fritters or whatever he wants from the king's table. He can travel with the king, because if he says the wrong thing, they'll blackball him. But he knows better, and it's too bad. It's too bad. He knows better, and I'm really disappointed because he's actually a very good writer. And if anything ever changed with that institution and the invisible contract, he would be their worst nightmare. He would be their worst nightmare. But you can't expect that because, he's got to put his kids through school. He has to buy a reinforced mattress and concrete bed frame. There's certain things he needs. He had to reinforce the threshold at the entry to his home. Yeah, all that stuff. So we can never expect that he will ever do his job. Now, this is coming up tomorrow. How to enjoy the VE Day 80 events VE Day 80. What is that? How to enjoy the VE Day 80 events today. So there's 80 events to mark 80 years since the end of the war, I guess. Is it a bank holiday? Well, I say try to stay clear of it. So, you guys, I'm almost done. I'm going to close with this. Now, when you see white smoke, that means that there's a new pope. When you see black smoke, that means that they have not reached a decision. What does it mean when you see orange smoke? I repeat, what does it mean when you see orange smoke? That's what it means. Blasphemous, sacrilegious, Trump. However, there were some people who were so disturbed by this act of blasphemy that they decided to take matters into their own hands. Now, Donald Trump posted this on the social media, which was absolutely rotten. He should not have done that. He should not have done that. But someone got their revenge. So the next time you see orange smoke, just know that that means that the only papal uniform, papal costume, the only type of papal costume that you're going to see Donald Trump wearing is this. Yes, the official spiritual leader of the Happy Meal, Pope Donald John Trump. Pope Plump. Yeah. That's the only way that's going to happen. Otherwise, he can forget it. He can just forget it. That's the only way that that's going to happen. There's no other way. Yeah, you can forget about that, Chunky. Oh, and by the way, this is the last thing. Tan Suit Gate was apparently more offensive than Trump as the Pope. And this is why I say, you guys, they always try to dog whistle and then gaslight us and tell us, well, it ain't got anything to do with his race. Barack Obama wore a tan suit one summer while president of the United States. They always expect the president to wear a navy blue suit. Navy blue suit. The only thing that changes is the necktie. Sometimes they'll wear like a very subtle pinstripe suit. But one hot day, I think it was in August, Barack Obama put on a tan suit and they just about lost their minds. But Ronald Reagan wore a nearly identical suit. And what happened? Nothing. It was only an issue when the black man put it on. But remember, it's not about his race. It's not about his race. Now, fast forward to 2025. The Pope has just died. And Donald Trump has the capacity to upload an image of himself as the Pope. An AI-generated image. Where's the outrage? I don't hear it. I'm only hearing crickets. But remember, it has nothing to do with his race. That's just like when that overindulged, childbearing, hip, puffy hand Charles went over there trying to imitate a field marshal from the Second World War. Nothing came of it. But if he was black, we would have never heard the end of it. We'd have never heard the end of it. So this is why I do the work that I do. Because somebody has to keep them accountable. Somebody has to keep them accountable. So with that, thank you all very much. Thank you for trusting me to do this work. I really, really do appreciate it. And remember, Liz Truss did not last as long as the cabbage. She did not have the staying power of cabbage. So thank you, Church Nelly, Lydia Washington, Cookies and Creams, Adrian Burrows, Dominica, Anastasia, Isabella Christensen, Legs, Sherry Ware, Elaine Parker, and on occasion, BS Speaks Royally. Thank you all very much for watching Royal Sussex. Oh, and thank you to Lady Sussex, George, and Charles for entertaining and informing us today. That was superb as usual. Don't forget, the Lady Sussex was on earlier today. I will go and grab that link so that I can share it with you. There you go. That is the link to the real life Cinderella Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. That is the name of the channel. Wow, they were on for 3 hours. It didn't seem like it. It really didn't seem like it. That's interesting. I can't believe it was 3 hours, but they were on for 3 hours. Didn't even seem like it. Which just goes to show how smoothly everything was. Okay, I'm going to pin that to the top of the chat. And with that, I'm going to say good night.